This is breaking news.
After working with the People's Coalition to stop deed theft, to pressure the governor to do right by the people of New York and do right by black homeowners and keeping them in their home, the governor bailed on our meeting. So I stand here today after being arrested for trying to prevent something that the head of the state, the governor, could have prevented, in advocating for her to implement an eviction moratorium. And while I am okay, and while I was able to get out quicker than many of the other folks who were arrested today, imagine what's happening to New Yorkers who aren't elected officials. Imagine what's happening to black seniors who are being ripped from their homes when there aren't cameras watching them. Imagine what's happening to them. I was pressed down on the concrete today while cameras were out. If it can happen to me, it can happen to many, many, many New Yorkers, most especially black New Yorkers and senior New Yorkers who have been advocating for years for deed theft to end. So I stand here alongside my comrades from the People's Coalition to stop deed theft. Our elected officials, our head of state, need to do right by us and putting an end to black displacement in Brooklyn, for putting an end to gentrification here in New York City. Enough is enough. So I know there are some colleagues of mine who are here to speak. I do want to thank the Speaker of the City Council for coming out, and I want to pass the mic to her before passing it to some advocates as well as the rest of my colleagues in the council.
Councilman, before you go, could you talk about your arrest, and could you tell us, it seemed like you were treated pretty roughly by the police officers. Right. Could you talk about that?
I was certainly treated rough by the police officers today. I was just standing in front of the home, and you know, there's a mix of details that's going on today, and I'm sorry if I'm a little spacey. My head hit the pavement pretty hard today. But the marshal showed up at 8 a.m. saying that he was going to proceed with an eviction. And then what I was told a little bit later from the sergeant and someone else was that the police were coming to look for Ms. Charrington's father. So there was a mix-up of details today. And I wanted to do my job as the representative for Ms. Charrington to just stand and observe and to make sure that you know, there was no violent eviction that was taking place. And I did not attack an officer. I did not. You know, my hands were visible to the officers, and you know, I was manhandled by 3 men. It takes a lot to lift me off the ground, but they were able to do so. They slammed me against the concrete. You know, I believe there was a knee on my back at some point. When I was in the cop car, the driver was driving very aggressively, taking sharp turns. Had no seatbelt on in the car, and I did hit the car door several times on my way over to the precinct.
Did you get hurt? You said your head hit the pavement.
I'm still waiting. I did ask officers to have an EMS evaluation. I think that was something that we spoke about before I came out, but I have still not have had the EMS.
Do you feel dizzy? Did you hurt your head hit the pavement?
My face is sore, and I do feel a little loopy and dizzy. Yes.
What do you think should happen to the officers? Like, was there any conversation? Help us understand how it devolved into that.
I mean, it happened pretty quickly. I know that you know, there were several pieces of paper that were waved in front of our face, but as I said before, there was a mix of different details that we were being told by both the marshal as well as the sergeant. They said that they were there for an eviction, but then someone else was saying that they were there for her father. So there was a bit of confusion before I was apprehended.
Should this event
important to you to try and prevent Ms. Charrington from being evicted?
So Bed-Stuy saw the largest displacement of black people than any other community within the city. And a huge reason that's taking place is because of deed theft. You know, when my grandmother was sick before she passed, she had a stroke, there were still people knocking on her door in Crown Heights asking her to sell her home. And I've been able to work with the People's Coalition to stop deed theft on making noise and aiding in the advocacy that they've been doing on this issue. They have been out here for years advocating not only for themselves, but other homeowners who have had their homes stolen. And we are seeing the displacement day in and day out here in Bed-Stuy. You can see the changing of the neighborhood, and a huge reason of that is because of deed theft. And as someone who grew up in this community, it's something that I take the utmost responsibility and priority for.
Councilman, have you heard from the mayor today about your arrest?
I've just been released.
Should
sort of
your
accountability would you
case,
see
right,
against?
You've been going to court hearings and stuff. Can you talk about
Chris,
your
I know
work
you've been
I know.
asked questions.
I wondered if you can speak at all to what sort of accountability you want to see after this incident. Do you think the officers should face some sort of reprimand?
I will absolutely be filing a misconduct report against the officers who slammed me on the ground. I urge the other folks who were taken into captivity to do the same. I know there are two individuals who are doing the same thing that I was doing who have reported that they are dealing with a concussion right now. So I would hope to see that they are held accountable. I hope the police commissioner is taking a deep look on their past, on their histories, and I hope they take our complaints seriously.
Councilman, could you just talk about your closeness to Carmela? You've been involved in her case for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in. So my office has been working with Carmela Charrington and in communication with Carmela Charrington for almost 3 years now. Carmela has gone everywhere with complaints about deed theft, from the AG's office, the DA's office, to, of course, my office. There are two individuals who are participating in deed theft when it comes to her property. It's the Mbalo brothers. They have a long history of participating in deed theft in the city of New York. They have yet to be held accountable for this specific case. As a city council member, I have limited power when it comes to enforcement, when it comes to deed theft. That's why a lot of what I've been doing over the past couple of years has been advocating on the behalf of my constituents who are going through it. But we really need many of our other electeds, especially those who have enforcement powers, to truly step in and take a deeper look at this case. We need a stay on eviction for Carmela Charrington and her family. There's a baby in that home, yet what took place today was completely violent and did not even take into account that there was a young person inside that home.
What happens tomorrow with this case?
We'll take questions later. We'll pass it off to the next
Speaker.
I do want to pass it off to the Speaker of the City Council, some folks from the Stop Deed Theft Coalition, as well as some of my colleagues before answering more questions.
Thank you.
So Speaker Julie Menem.
Okay, thank you so much. I really want to be here today to support my colleague, Councilmember Chi Osse. When I saw the video, it's obviously of deep, deep concern. He was thrown to the ground, and as you heard from him directly, he sustained some injuries. That is not acceptable. He was peacefully protesting. And I do want to say, this is an issue that I know Councilmember Osse cares a lot about. We held hearings in the City Council last year, in my former committee, the Consumer Protection Committee, about the issue of deed theft. Deed theft complaints are up almost 300% in the city, largely affecting the Black community. And so I know Councilmember Osse cares deeply, deeply, passionately about this issue, and he was there to express his opinion on the issue. He was peacefully protesting when this occurred. We came to the precinct immediately. I spoke to the police commissioner to ask for his immediate release, and I'm here today to support Councilmember Osse.
Speaker, should there be an investigation of his arrest?
I'm sorry?
Should there be an investigation?
I'm speaking to the police commissioner about this. Obviously, what I saw in the video is very, very concerning.
What did the police commissioner say about the incident? What was
She
her?
said that she's looking into it. She did not elaborate.
Wait, she said what? I'm
That
sorry?
she was looking into it. I don't have any details on what the action she's going to take.
All right, I do want to pass the mic off to Evangeline Byers, who's one of the leaders from the People's Coalition to Stop Deed Theft.
So we want to, thank you. So we want to be very clear. There needs to be a meeting with the police commissioner, because the NYPD is routinely used and weaponized against homeowners for unlawful evictions. What happened today is unconscionable, but it's something that's routine. Right. And so we are asking that the police commissioner sit down with us and discuss and understand what is happening in not only in Bedford-Stuyvesant, but across the city and state as it relates to deed theft, right? And so deed theft is something that has been largely ignored because it's a crime that affects seniors. And so now there's a lot of work being done to get a handle on this situation, but as you know, progress is slow. But there are some things we can do in an immediate, and that is to send out an alert throughout, or a memo or whatever it is, to all precincts that they are not to participate with deed thieves and try to enforce evictions when they do not know and are not trained to read orders. They don't know if just because someone shows up to you and say that they own a home, that does not mean that they're the owner. And this happens consistently. And the 79th precinct has been culpable for this type of behavior as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we also have the two co-chairs of the Progressive Caucus, Councilmember Tiffany Caban and Councilmember Sandy Nurse.
Good afternoon. First of all, we're really grateful that our colleague, Councilmember Osse, is out, and also just want to thank him for being here and supporting this coalition and to the coalition for all of you do to fight back and stand up and protect your homes. This is an issue, as the speaker said, that not only has Councilmember Osse been working on, but a bunch of us have been working on. There's a lot of legislation in the council. We've pressed on our district attorneys. We've pressed on our attorney general. We've worked together to make sure that our offices are equipped to understand how to best direct people who are victims of deed fraud. But this is a crime. What these people are doing is criminal. This is a class of criminals. This is white collar, and they are not being treated the way they should be. That's right. You're literally stealing people's entire homes and successfully able to sell those homes for millions of dollars. This is happening across East New York, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights. This is not new. But it is a crisis. And this kind of response, you were absolutely right. The NYPD shows up to evictions all the time and does not stop unlawful evictions all the time. In fact, there's very little information in the patrol guide, and if you actually listen to some of our hearings, you will find that a lot of this happens, it's at the discretion of the officer. Right. And so when they see someone who's upset, who's obviously upset because their house is being stolen or they're being told they're effectively rendered homeless that night, they are upset. The officers tend to side with the management, the super, or they don't even wait around for someone to come back and let them in. A lot of people are rendered homeless immediately because the NYPD doesn't take action and doesn't have information and doesn't have good protocol for what to do in these cases. We are asking the governor to step up here and protect the black community from the crime that is being done to them. She says that she stands with the black community. Show us.
That's it.
Pass the deed theft eviction moratorium. There's nothing wrong with putting in a moratorium and saying we're not going to evict people while we figure out what's happening with these cases. These are very complicated cases where these folks are preying on elders, older adults, families that have moved on, and they're not together. And so what happens is documents are missing, people who are older and have dementia and all of these different diseases, they can't fight back. So their homes are being stolen. We need the governor to step in and take action. I'm really, really happy that my colleague is out. I'm disgusted that there were people hospitalized for simply protecting, standing there, saying, please do not evict because this is a crime that's happening in our community. So I'm gonna pass it on to my co-chair, Tiffany Caban.
I mean, obviously well said by Councilmember Nurse. I also just want to be really, really clear about something. I know it was characterized before as a protest, but that's not how I see it, actually. This was community members showing up to defend their neighbors. Yes. This was a council member showing up not to protest, but to engage in the ultimate act of actually taking material steps to protect their neighbors, in spite of the governor, in spite of the government that is facilitating these deed thefts and these very violent evictions, and then following up with physical violence. You had a black council member picked up and thrown to the floor because he was protecting a black family in a black neighborhood that continues to experience organized disinvestment, that continues to have everything they've worked for over generations taken away, that has to work 20 times as hard just to get by than folks in other neighborhoods in Brooklyn. Let's be real about it. The police have no business at evictions. They have no business facilitating evictions. And I think it is apt to point out that the sheriff's department, this is part and parcel of the violence that they have instigated time and time again, day over day. How many times are we going to hear about them effectuating raids where they're stealing goods, where they are violently taking down members of the community? So there accountability needs to be had on multiple fronts, and we have to do everything we can to keep people in our homes. So thank you, Chi, for the work that you are doing. Thank you first and foremost to y'all who continue without a lot of resources to hold your people down. We got you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Does the police department have no say or no place, or are they just sort of sent and they don't have, you know, I know you said...
Yeah. Listen, the question here is, who and what are you there to protect?
Yes.
Because if their protocol is to show up, the problem is to show up to what end? To show up to do what? Because you know what? Under these circumstances, the way they continue to show up and show out every time, I'd rather you don't show up at all.
But under the current rules, are they able to say, oh, this looks like maybe there's a history here, and we don't have to...
And if I want to make sure that you have the opportunity.
Bro, listen.
She's giving you the law. She's giving you the law.
RPL 768 says that it is illegal for the police to engage in an eviction and in an unlawful eviction or in any eviction, and it is illegal for them to use force or intimidation. Right. That is the law.
Can you repeat the law again?
RPAPL 768. It says that the police cannot change your locks. No one can change your locks. They cannot remove your doors, your windows. They cannot shut off your utilities. And they cannot use force or intimidation. What we witnessed here today, what we experienced, was a violent attack by NYPD. On homeowners, on property owners, on neighbors, and on the people of this community who are standing up for what is right.
Come on.
And enough is enough.
Again, I just want to reiterate that the ball is in the governor's court. She has the power to prevent this from happening again in the future. She has the power to allocate resources to equip homeowners with the tools that they need to fight back against the thievery of their homes. She has the power to put an end to deed theft. She just has yet to answer for it.
I have a question. I mean, obviously today the community came out, and this has been going on for so many years. What happened?
We continue to occupy, right? We continue to occupy. This is it. There is no more taking of our homes. While we've been here, developers are calling me saying it wasn't me. I didn't take it. It wasn't me. It's 227 Group LLC. They know who the crime syndicates are, right? They've been operating under the color of authority and the color of law, but they know that this is all illegal acts. And what we're asking simply is to pause eviction. Give this family a chance to fight. Carmela has been without legal representation for 6 years.
Until
we
last
finally
week.
were able to raise almost $30,000 to get quality legal representation who have been making the right arguments to stop this. But without an eviction moratorium, without someone stepping in, the court stepping in and saying, hold up, let's look at this, right? She stands to be another victim. But we will not give up and we will not give in. We'll continue to occupy.
Absolutely. I would also advise speaking to Ms. Charrington's lawyer. Her attorney has been working on proposing a stay on eviction for her and her family to stay in that home. But until we receive that, until we hear that will come to be, we will continue showing up and standing up for our neighbor.
That's right.
I have a question about the legislation that's been proposed in the City Council. Can you guys, I don't know how extensive it is or what's being proposed right now?
So I know that my office has been working closely with the mayoral administration on putting together something that you'll hear about soon in terms of how the city will step in and prevent deed theft from continuing.
And just the last thing about that, I mean, just basic real estate law, you know, if there's anything fraudulent on an application, that contract is voidable. So if someone purchased something, they paid someone who
Right.
doesn't have the authority to do it, they should seek recourse with that person because that's an illegal contract. Is that something that's being considered? Because it just seems very, rudimentary.
Yeah.
If you're into an
Okay,
illegal
great.
contract, it should be
I
voidable.
know. Yeah.
And
I
there
mean,
should not be any action,
I
right?
think what Ms. Byers said. My constituent has not had legal representation for 6 years. So many of these mistakes or intentional mistakes that may have come out of the contracts that she may or may not have signed may have been missed because she has not had a legal representation. A huge thing that we are advocating for is for there to be allocated taxpayer dollars that are funding legal representation for those who are dealing with active deed theft cases, so that those mistakes and so that fraud can be identified.
We're going to take him out so he can get his head checked.
Thank you.
And there was